If you're moving to Arizona from out of state and you've already started browsing Zillow, you're probably doing it backwards. Most people open Zillow, pick a name they recognize, Gilbert, Queen Creek, Chandler, and they start browsing listings. And I get that. That feels like doing something. But what it usually does is create a list of houses with no real context for why one neighborhood actually makes sense for your life over another. So the first thing I do is slow that part down. Before we ever look at a single listing, I want to know how you actually live. What does a Tuesday morning look like? Where are the kids going to school? Do you want to be close to things? Or do you want space and quiet? How much does the drive actually matter? Because those answers tell me which pockets fit your life. And before we ever walk through a front door, I send you out to drive the areas yourself first. Not on a Sunday afternoon when everything looks quiet. On a Tuesday morning, at school drop-off, or at rush hour on the way home. Because that's when you actually find out what living somewhere feels like. No amount of YouTube videos or Google Maps is really going to give you that. You have to be in it. I know moving across the country with a deadline is already a lot. And I know when you fly out here, you want to see some houses. But here's the thing. The specific homes available right now probably won't be there when you're actually ready to close. So spending that first trip understanding areas instead of touring houses that won't exist for you later, that's almost always the better use of the time. First trip is for areas, second trip is for homes. And by the time we're actually walking through the front doors, the pockets are already narrowed and every showing actually counts. Most out-of-state buyers start the real conversation when they're already under pressure. 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, and by then the ability to wait for the right house in the right area is basically gone. The buyers who end up in the best situations started that conversation 4 to 6 months out. Not because they were ready to buy, just because they were wanting to understand what they were walking into before the clock was already running. If you're relocating to the East Valley, reach out before that clock starts. This conversation is worth having early.